We're even talking
the raw
about
background. I said the real, the raw, the background.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You start this one for sure, Z.
Okay.
Okay.
I mean, last week we talked, we started talking about identity in general, and then we discussed I am enjoying life identity.
Mm-hmm.
So I am a nice person.
Yeah.
Identity. I feel like this could be a lot, I feel like it could focus more on you because that's something that I just naturally identify with and have become that.
It broke up, but I think you said you're naturally that way and I've become it.
Yeah, so it might focus like a little more towards like how you became it.
Yeah. Okay. We'll just go with it. We'll just see. And if it sucks, we'll stop and start over if we need to.
It's not going to suck. It's just, it's what it is.
I know it's not. Okay.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, record. Oh, wait. No, mine is bad. What the hell? I wonder if it's because my heat is on.
You wonder if it's why?
I had my little space heater on.
Oh, maybe.
Okay. Uno, dos, tres, record.
Hello.
I should really learn how to say record in Spanish if I'm going to do that.
Recordo. Recordada. Recordado. Sorry. 1, 2.
I did not hear you say 3.
You clapped cut out. Time.
You said 3. Okay. I just went with it. I was like, well, she didn't say 3. Let me just clap.
Seemed to work for me. I mean, for you. It worked. It seemed to work.
Technology. Okay. Yep. Yeah, let's go with it. Okay. Welcome back to another episode of the In Raw Life podcast. We are continuing our discussion from last week. So if you didn't hear last week's episode, you probably want to go listen because it kind of gives a primer to what we're discussing. But we're talking about identities that we choose and make for ourselves. But before we dive into this week's identity that we're talking about, I do want to remind all of those of you who are listening, who are watching, that if you like what you're hearing, or if you think that other people might like what you're hearing, then you should rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast or on YouTube, wherever you are listening or watching, because that will help us to grow and get into more ears and eyeballs so that we can help others, because that is one of our big missions in life, is to help others with what we're discovering, with what we're going through, so that they can do it too. So you can leave a review wherever you're listening to this. You can leave a rating, and you can subscribe so that you always stay up on this. And then share us too. Give us a share, share us to whoever you think would enjoy it. And we will give you all the love back by bringing you more value every single week.
You can also be a bigger part of our community. We have a really amazing community that we are growing and flourishing, and it's such a cool way to just get even more connected with the podcast, even more connected with us, and then even more connected with other incredible women who are doing big, brave, beautiful things in this world, not tearing each other down or corrupting this world, but really building each other up and loving one another more, and reminding one another of why it's awesome to be a woman. I feel like as women, it can be inherent to be nasty to one another, but we have completely rewritten that script with our community. So to be a part of it, it's on Facebook. It's called Work-Life Balance for Empowered Unstoppable Women. And that's exactly the kind of atmosphere we have, is just one that loves on one another and builds one another up. Plus we have trainings that we do every Thursday there that are just a short, sweet, enhanced version. I mean, not enhanced, but extra version of the podcast, almost hey, here's some quick nuggets in 8 minutes or less. So anyway, go check that out on Facebook. There's a link in the show notes. Work-Life Balance for Empowered Unstoppable Women. We'd love to have you.
Yeah. So last week we talked about the identity I am enjoying life. Like no matter what's going on, no matter what season you're in, no matter how crappy something might feel, like how you can still actually enjoy life every single moment, because that's like our big mission in life is to help everybody feel that way. Um, and this week we are taking it, I guess, a little more technical, like less out there and more here is who I am. This is what I do. And we're going to talk about how I am, not just me, an organized person. Like if you speak that over yourself, you are that person. And like we talked about last week, you'll start making the votes for being the organized person instead of saying, oh, I'm such a mess. And then perpetuating that. And, so when another choice comes up and you're like, oh, well, I'm a mess. So might as well choose the messy choice.
Yeah.
Or I can't get my life together. Oh, this is just how it is. Now, Sierra and I discussed this right before the episode. Jessica, happen to be I've identified as an organized person most of my life, at least since I could, think of it. I do remember my mom and grandmother telling me that, like, they called me Messica because my room was a mess when I was little, but that didn't affect me because who I am, I guess I'm just naturally organized in the way that I do things. And it became even more a part of me. Who knows, being Messica in my room when I was little maybe helped me make that decision of I don't want to be Messica, I want to be organized, and then I am. But Sierra, you did not used to identify as an organized person.
No, it's funny, like you talking about your younger you, because I remember being very, no, I mean, my room was messy too. Like, I feel like maybe, I was just a kid and I kept it messy because I didn't want to clean it. But I do remember sitting down to do my homework and having like a very organized way of doing my homework. I loved, like, my mom made me do it as soon as I got home. And I'm glad she did because it kept me, getting it done and then not doing it at 9 o'clock at night or whatever. But I loved sitting down at my desk and I had, all the things in their certain spots and I would pretend that I was the secretary doing my homework. I mean, doing my work, but it was my homework. And I would, if I got bored, I would like start scribbling my fake name, which I think was Laura Jackson, I feel like, which is funny
Don't
because that's,
don't you have a friend?
yes, I do. Maybe it was Laura Johnson. It was definitely an L and a J because those were my favorite cursives. So, anyway, I would scribe my fake name off on the side and I would just do my homework. And I felt very organized. And I don't know at what point I started to feel disorganized, but I do think that I have ADHD. So I'm sure that came into play. Once I started putting more and more on my plate, it was hard to keep track of it all. And then probably once I started dropping the ball on a few things, I then was like, all right, well, I'm like, I would say I'm always late. Like I remember telling friends, like, if you want me to be on time, just tell me 15 minutes earlier and I'll be on time. Because I'm just a late person. I'm always late. Or, oh, I'm just like, I don't know, I can't think straight, or and this is just how I am. And my husband and I actually got into a fight about this like years ago because he wanted me to close the cabinets and I would never remember to close the cabinets. And he's like, why don't you just remember to close them? And I'm like, you don't understand how my brain works. Like, this is just who I am. I can't freaking remember. And he's like, I feel like you need to change the way you talk about yourself and just say, like, I close the cabinets or something. He hinted at this idea. And then when we started reading Atomic Habits together, and I was like, wow, it's so cool how um we mentioned Atomic Habits last week. Sorry, we're I'll bring it up again, but basically it's a book about like building better habits, and the thing he talks about is how you identify yourself. And so I said to Jay, I'm like, wow, that's so neat. Like, I just need to call myself an organized person. And he's like, I've been telling you this for years. So that's the idea. Which I
Yeah.
have in the past few years. I would say, like, I don't call myself late anymore. I am really adamant about being on time. And there's still times like I'm a little late, but I am pretty punctual now. And I have labeled myself as a punctual person, not a late person. I think that has a little to do with it. And the disorganization is constantly a work in progress, but it's becoming like it's way better than it was a year ago, which was way better than it was a year before that. So it's constantly improving, I think.
Yeah. It's when you were talking about how you were so organized, like your mom made you do homework when you got home and you were very methodical and organized about that. I wonder how that affects things because I had the opposite because I was such a latchkey kid. So when I got home, I was starting in third grade and then forevermore, I came home to an empty house. Like I unlocked the door myself and I had to be on top of my own homework. Therefore, and I labeled myself as a procrastinator all through through high school, maybe even in college a little bit, but I always got things done because I was organized about it. But I mean, I remember fourth grade having told my mom, yeah, I totally did my homework, but I hadn't yet. And then going into the bathroom, pretending to go into the bathroom at like 9 o'clock at night with the light on and my textbook and like my notebook. So I wonder if that you were made to do it. So it's not that you ever automatically became this organized person, like you had to do that. And for me, it was the opposite. Like I was given free reign in a sense. So it was up to me to become that organized person, to be the good student that I wanted to be.
Well, I think my mom wasn't always home though, but I'm like I can't tell a lie. Like I didn't like if my mom asked me if I did my homework and I didn't do it, I would tell her I didn't, and then
I
I'd
know.
be in trouble. So
I got in trouble, but I was so bad.
no, I was such a goody two shoes from the day I was born. So like my mom
Yeah.
said you have to do your homework first thing, and even if she wasn't there, like I knew she'd be calling at 4 o'clock to see if my homework was done. So I had to make sure it was done
Yeah.
because I had to get it. I couldn't not.
See, and it's funny because I mean, I always was a rule follower in a sense, and I definitely am now. Like even to the point where, think like as an adult, things come up. I'm like, oh, well, that's what you're supposed to do. But then I have this weird thing inside of, but what do I feel is the right thing? Like, is what they're telling me the right, so
Yeah.
it's this conflict inside because I am such a rule follower, at least now. I think I was then. And I was a good kid. I knew what I could handle. And if I was going to parent myself in some sense, then I was going to parent myself and made those
Yeah.
decisions. I don't know. It's really funny.
That is
So much
funny.
that could be delved into there.
I know. Cause I feel like it's funny because you are such a rule follower and I am a rule breaker now more than I
Uh-huh.
was. But it is the same thing. Like, oh, well, this rule is ridiculous. If it's supposed to be a rule, I'll do it. But if it's a dumb rule, I probably won't, as long as it doesn't break the law. Too bad. Speeding. I mean, come on. What is that for? Only to save people's lives. Whatever. Just kidding. I do the speed limit now way more than I used to.
Yeah, parenting will do that to you.
I know.
But yeah, so I used to identify as a procrastinator, which is funny because I felt organized. I don't know if I called myself an organized person or not, but I just knew that that's what I was. But I also identify as a procrastinator, so therefore I perpetuated that and always put things off because I knew I could get it done. But now I would not call myself a procrastinator. I get things done on time or early because it feels way better. So then like if something comes up, like even just moving something from one room to another, like or I get home from like wherever and I'm like, okay, I could just put that away later. No, do it now because that feels better.
So true. So last week we talked about this book a little bit, and I want to read a different part. So I don't remember if you read this part or not, but I want to preface it with this. So this is Atomic Habits by James Clear. Boom for YouTube. There you go. And he says your behaviors are usually a reflection of your identity. What you do is an indicator of the type of person you believe that you are, either consciously or unconsciously. So, and then he talks about how research shows that once a person believes a particular aspect of their identity, they're more likely to act in alignment with that belief, which, like Jess said, go back to last week's episode to hear all about that. But what I really want to talk about today is the negative versus positive beliefs in ourselves. So he says, when working for you, identity can be a powerful force of self-improvement. When working against you, though, identity change can be a curse. once you have adopted an identity, it can be easy to let your allegiance to it impact your ability to change.
Mhm.
So, like, just be aware of the things that you're saying about yourself, because who says that's true? I mean, almost every single belief that we have about ourselves is decided by us, maybe something that somebody gave to us at a very young age, like Messica, which you completely decided to go against, or um, like my mom always told me I was a good girl. And so I'm like still a very good girl, which is something I'm proud of and I want to identify as. But like I have another friend whose mother always told her that she was such a perfectionist and such a worrywart. And still today in her 30s, she's like, okay, I don't have to be perfect. And I don't like and I don't have to worry about everything, but I like this worry is valid and that's okay. So you really just have to take a deep look at why you have identified yourself as something and if you want that identity or not. And then if you don't want it, you can change it. And there it's all about your vocabulary or the way you speak over yourself. So for me, I don't want to be a disorganized person anymore. I have been disorganized my whole life. Even still, I like if I look around my house today, I feel like parts of it are very disorganized, but I'm working to change that. So I'm not a disorganized person. I'm an organized person, constantly figuring out how to improve my organization.
Mhm. Yeah, like we keep saying, whatever you speak over yourself is what your mind is going to make decisions about. Like if you say, "Oh, I'm just a jerk," sorry, like that's who I am. Always been a jerk. Then all the actions that you're taking, like you're giving yourself that permission. Oh, well, you can be a jerk right now. It's okay. And sometimes we're allowed to be jerks. Sometimes like it warrants it. But if that's who you're identifying as like an overall person, you're probably always going to be a jerk, and that's on you.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Oh
matter if
yeah.
anyone else thinks that of you or not. It has everything to do with what you believe inside. 'Cause like what I said last week, that I explained like the circle, like it all stems from like your belief about yourself creates the thoughts create the actions that you take, and then the actions create like your whole life.
Okay, so can you inspire us as a very organized person? Which maybe that's what I need to start changing. I'm a very organized person. Say it till I believe it, Sierra. Say it. Um, anyway, can you inspire us with like as an organized person, you know that about yourself. What actions do you specifically take that you feel like are organized?
The easiest way like to think about it, I would start with like physical stuff. Like I said, I walk in the door from grocery shopping. Do I put the groceries down and like look at my phone for a few minutes, talk to people, go do other stuff? Or do I put the groceries where they belong right away and then take the stack of reusable grocery bags and go put them where they belong? Like, which one feels better to me? Which one is going to feel better 30 minutes from now or tonight or tomorrow morning? It's going to be being organized about it and getting it done, or coming back from a trip, like coming back from vacation. Does it feel better to have bags laying around my house for like a week or two, or like laundry all over the place? Or does it feel better to me to be able to like just get it all out of the way within 30 minutes, like everything where it belongs, and then I don't have to think about it again? Like that's what feels better to me.
So
Um,
I want to speak as like a learning to be more organized person on that exact subject. For me, what's helped in that, because I am usually the opposite, like I used to be the opposite. Um, yeah, like the suitcase man. I have had a suitcase sitting in a room for over a month after a vacation. Um, and so what I have adopted now is that unpacking is part of like I schedule unpacking into the activity. So if I'm going to the grocery store takes me a half hour of drive time and a half hour at the store. That's an hour. Well, I need to make the whole thing on my schedule an hour and 15 minutes because it takes me 15 minutes to put away the groceries or 20 minutes, whatever, an hour and 20 minutes. So that way, like it's in. So, like if I have, let's say I tell Jessica, okay, I'm going to call you after the grocery store. Well, I know I'll get home at 12, but I'm not going to call her until 12:20 when the groceries are away. That
Mm-hmm.
has helped me align that, especially now that I have kids and we do like big activities with like bikes and camping and all that. Like, no, no, no. We are not home until all of the stuff is out of the truck and put away. But
Mm-hmm.
that's a conscious decision for me. It's not like effortless. I have to really think, okay, this is like, don't sit down. Don't like, on the drive home from a big trip, I'm like, you're not relaxed. You're not home until everything's away. And it takes a lot of effort, but it's worth it.
I mean, it still takes effort for, like, it might not take as much effort, but it still takes effort for me too, like, to make that decision of this is going to feel like, think about it. Like, I think about it, which is going to feel better tomorrow morning or tonight or whatever. It's doing the damn thing and not having to think about it again or to touch it again. Like, that's why I started doing the laundry all in one day. Because I literally, I mean, even just a couple years ago, it was just Emily and I like, I would do laundry on whatever day. All of a sudden, I was like, oh, I'm out of underwear, or she's out of underwear. One of us needs pants again. And because like it didn't matter that I like did it on a certain day, whatever, and I worked 40 hours plus a week, but it feels so much better to be like, this is the day that I do laundry. I'm able to do it all day long while I'm home because I work from home, and it gets put away, and I don't have to think about it the other 6 days of the week. Like, it's not even a thing. So just figuring out like those, whenever something comes up, a decision of like, oh, should I put this away now or not? Should I make this item, this to do task happen now because I could do it, or should I put it off? Like, do the damn thing and you don't have to think about it again.
Okay. So another question for you. Sorry, I didn't tell you that this is going to be such an interview
That's
episode, but
okay.
it is.
It's funny because I thought it would be the opposite. So I was like, oh, well, you're the one that's like become the organized person.
I
So
know. It's funny when you said that too. I'm like, well, I have this question for her, but I'm not even going to tell her I have this question, which is the
I,
question I'm about to ask you right now.
okay.
So get ready. No. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that I have found, like, that I struggle with, and I'm sure there are many women out there who struggle with the same thing, is that, okay, so let's say like laundry you've made all one day. I haven't done that yet, and I keep thinking I just need to do that because it seems to be so like make it so much easier for you. So I'm going to put laundry aside and not do that because I know that answer. But another thing I wanted, like, I try to do laundry daily, but I'm going to move it. Another thing I try to do daily is like unpack something or organize something. Like, that's something I want to establish this year, is like at least 15 minutes a day working in the basement to organize it better, because our basement is cluttered and has more stuff than we need. But it's a daunting task to me. So I thought, I've heard that, like, oh, if you just do things in 15-minute chunks, set a
Mm-hmm.
timer, and it seems much more doable. But I have a problem figuring out what time I should do that 15 minutes, because ideally, like, I would just do it at the same time every single day. But I'm most motivated in the mornings on Monday, Wednesday, Friday when I'm at home. But I don't have, like, I'm most motivated in the mornings, period. But on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go to the coffee shop, so I can't. So how can I, like, the problem is at the, like, I'll be like, yes, I'm going to do it tomorrow. And then the day passes and I'm like, shoot, I didn't get in my 15 minutes yet. It's not that I didn't want to. It's, if I had thought of it, I would have done it, but I forgot about it because everything else happened, and I don't have it scheduled in at a certain time. So how would you recommend getting 15 minutes of cleaning or tidy or laundry or whatever somebody's 15 minutes is that they need to do daily, but it could be like every day looks a little different. How would you make sure you get that in?
I would like attach it to, well, one, I write everything in my planner. That's what helps me personally. And I give it like a, if not a literal time, like a before or after something that does have a time. So I know like, oh, I need to do this before that. And if I don't check it off, I'm like, dang, especially if it was really important to me. Um, but also like, and he talks about in the book too, or any habit book really, is tying it to something that's already a habit, like tying a new habit. And it's okay if it's going to be different. Like if it's Monday, Wednesday, Friday is one time and Tuesday, Thursday is a different time. You might just have to tie it to like different habits on those days, because those days look different for you anyway. So it's like, you went to the coffee shop that day. So whatever the afternoon looks like probably looks different than other days. But like tying it to something, like when I really wanted to make working out in the morning, like early in the morning, a habit for myself, I already have the habit of the second I get out of bed, I go to the bathroom, I brush my teeth, and I go take my vitamins. Like that was already a habit of mine. And then the next step that I do is go get into workout clothes. Like it's like autopilot now. It took I had an
Okay.
incoming. I'm sure that's your
Oh,
thing that it's canceled tomorrow.
it
Um,
should is what I heard last.
uh,
You were gonna say
it
how
took a
long it
lot of
took you.
effort.
Hmm.
It took effort. But then once you put in that effort enough, it becomes a habit. And so now it's like weird for me if I don't go put on workout clothes after I've taken my vitamins. So I would say like find whatever it is that make sure you can fit that 15 minutes in like the same, on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or whatever it is. And see like, if it's like drink my coffee, then 15 minutes of this.
Oh yeah, because oh yeah, I don't know. I got Minnesota in there all of a sudden. Because I was thinking like, oh, I could tie it to working out because like I'm already dirty and sweaty, so why not go down in the basement? But I was like, no, because working out is a chore, and I like two chores tied together don't sound as exciting. But like drinking coffee and doing it
Is
sounds,
working out a chore for you though?
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I enjoy it, but I still have to push myself to do it.
Mm.
Versus like drinking coffee is a reward. So if I like get to drink coffee in the morning while cleaning out the basement for 15 minutes, that sounds like almost fun. Almost. Like I could do that. I could drink coffee in the basement and be like, here we go, organized, boom. So I love that idea. I'm gonna try it.
Well, I would also say about like the workout thing, if that's something that you want to make sure it's a habit, like eventually it should become something that's, or even just to keep doing it right now, it should be something that you're like, I love like making my body healthy. Like I love how I feel when I work out, so it doesn't feel like a chore per
Yeah,
se.
I know. I do think that. Like I love
But it's
how I
not
feel
necessarily whether it's a
afterwards.
chore or not. It should just, if it's a habit, you can attach something new to it.
Yeah. I think like
Smokers, it's hard for them to break that if they're like, oh, like during my break, I go take a smoke break. Like that's what I do. Or after lunch, like me and my friend, we go smoke a cigarette together because we're smokers. And then they're trying to become not a smoker. It's like, well, you need to not go spend that 15 minutes with that friend probably, or else it's gonna be really hard to break that habit.
mhm, yeah. Okay, I want one more thing that you do as an organized person.
Um, ugh, I don't know. I plan my week 1 week at a time.
Mhm.
Meal plan is part of that.
Yeah, that's true. I will say, as a learning to become an organized person, as a newly very organized person, um, meal planning is life changing. And so I was trying to do it on Mondays, but then I realized that that was like not as effective for me because Mondays, like I would start the meal plan on Monday and then I'd be like, well, I'm not 100% sure what the weekend looks like. It might be flexible. So, like, I just kind of guessed what we would do Saturday and Sunday. But now I meal plan on Friday
Hmm.
for the Saturday through Friday. And Friday's when I go grocery shopping too. So it like makes the most sense to already have it all figured out. And that was like so easy because on Friday I knew exactly what my weekend looked like, way more than I do on Monday. And then I go like I wrote it all out. Whereas like Monday, I'm tired. I don't have the energy to really like think through the week. And so I did it last Friday, and I just yesterday, I was like, okay, well, what's for dinner tomorrow? And I looked, and like, oh wow, like I don't even remember writing that, but that's easy. And so
Hmm.
I pulled the meat out. It was chicken, so I pulled out the chicken last night and put it in the fridge. Like that's gonna be tomorrow, done. Like not even a worry, not even a like. I could not believe how easy it was thinking about it so far in advance. It made it so much simpler for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, planning in general, like sometimes, like it can be, a negative, like, oh, you think too much, you plan too much, blah, 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 like let it be easy. But planning is what I can always fall back on. Like if there's a plan, I can fall back on that. Of course, like I have learned to like allow for wiggle room and like, you know, spontaneous stuff, but the plan is what I fall back on, the system.
I like how you said that too, because I recently, I don't remember what it was, but I was scheduling something in that was becoming so consistent. And I was like, man, this is so consistent. And the Enneagram 7 in me is like, oh, consistency. I'm feeling a little like, I was feeling itchy, right? Like, I love this, but I don't want it to be like this forever because that's frightening. I mean, like the fact that Jay and I are drinking tea at night and playing games together and we're only 30, I'm like, this is the next 50 years at least. Like, what have I done? I've set myself up for this boring habit for the rest of my life. But I had to tell myself, like, that's actually not the case. It's just this season that we're in. And I'm sure we'll come back and forth from it, you know, but right now it's really nice because it's cold and we want to drink warm tea at night and play a game or watch a show. But like in the summer, we'll be having like baseball games and stuff again that it's always different. And so I think having a plan for this moment is so helpful, knowing that the plan can be completely different in a month from now. Like for me, that feels relieving as somebody who is petrified of too much consistency. So if you're that way, just know it can change. It doesn't have to be the same damn plan every day for the rest of your life.
I love and thrive on consistency, but I also am constantly like, okay, like how do I prove this? What's next? Like what's the, because my creative mind like wants the change and differences. So totally normal.
Yeah. Well, dang.
For an organized person.
What?
I said it's totally normal for an organized person.
What?
To want consistency, but also want change.
Gotcha. Well, I have a child that will be entering the premises very soon. On that note, I think that we have done it yet again. That was a very organized but impromptu.
See?
We didn't have a set plan, but we had a slight plan, and that totally helped the progress of our podcast. So thanks for joining us on another episode. We hope you loved it, and please feel free to reach out and let us know what you got out of it. Let us know the identity that you want to take on, that you are rewriting in your mind, because we want to know what that is. And you can reach out to us at hello@inrawlife.com. And we'd also love it if you could send us either a written description or an audio clip of what balance means to you. Send that again to hello@inrawlife.com and we might feature you on the show.
Until next week, I do hope that you choose something new. Think about the identity that you want for yourself and make some votes for that person. And I really hope that it's not to be a Messica.
It's Auntie Jess. Say hi. No. What's the matter?
I just woke up. That's what's the matter.
No, he didn't. He just